And good evening, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. Tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers play their second game of a seven-game homestand as they battle the Winnipeg Jets for the second time in 5 days as they close out the season series here tonight in South Philadelphia. A pleasure, good day, everybody. I'm your host, James Scorza, with you for the next 15 minutes or so for the Flyers after a game that could have been easier said than done for the guys in orange and black on Tuesday night. Obviously, it was not a very good performance. Seeing some goaltenders getting pulled, obviously seeing some plays that were not as good as it seemed, like I mentioned on the post game over on our sister station, Stream Punk Entertainment. But a lot to get to, but let's get into what happened on Tuesday night here in South Philadelphia. So, early on in the first period for the Flyers to try to get off to a really good start like they did on Saturday night up in Winnipeg is concerned. The thing that made it worse for the Flyers in this game, as you probably know, the Flyers had some opportunities of chances in the game early on in the first period. But unfortunately, it was the other side, and that was let alone Calgary on this side being the team that had the opportunities when it mattered the most. So the first goal of the game was scored by Calgary. There was like three shots, obviously, that right after the Flames got the first one, then they got the second one, and then they got the third one. And three goals in a matter of three shots on goal in that first period was something that kind of seemed odd according to what Sam Mercer playing to the standards that he has been playing at. I was kind of concerned to see Sam Mercer giving up three goals in a matter of three shots in the game. For me, that's something that I have to say this is going to be something tonight. If he is in goal tonight for the Flyers in this game here tonight, I hopefully hope that the benching that he had against the Flames on Tuesday night will be a little bit of a wake-up call for him. For me, the Flyers did have some opportunities in that first period, but they could not beat Dustin Wolf. A lot of shots that were like, I guess you can call it the old tradition, like we used to call it the high and wide stuff. Obviously, the Flyers had some opportunities, but missed the net many, many times in this game. And it looked like Calgary missed some shots on goal in that first period along the way, too. But like I mentioned, the Flyers gave up not one goal, but not one, but two, but three goals on a matter of three shots. And that was basically the tone setter of this game, more importantly than anything like that. Obviously, I could go on and on about what the goals were like. One of them looked like it was a kind of fluky goal. The other one just looked like he just did not see the puck. And then the third one, made it realize that the Flyers try to do whatever they can to make it into something. But the big elephant in the room is that you can't give up three goals, especially in crunch time, if you're trying to make a postseason push. For me, that's going to be the thing I'm going to take out of it in the key matchups of the game. So the Flyers scored a couple goals here, and they made to cut the deficit to 3-2 at the end of the second, and at the end of the first period. And oddly enough, Calgary scoring a fourth goal in that first period. And usually you'll think they'll score a goal in the second or third period as a fourth goal, but the third and fourth goals were in the first period. Hard to believe. And basically, that was the tone setter of the game, that the Flames did not score a goal. After that, they scored two more goals after that to make it a 6-3 game. And usually the thing that I took out of it, too, is that the big story was that first period, that how many goals that the Flames did score, and the Flyers did not score in that first period. So I hope more of the same here tonight in this matchup between the Flyers and Winnipeg. All right, let's get into our key matchups in this game here tonight for the Flyers and the Winnipeg Jets, the Flyers and the Jets. So this is something that I never thought I would say here, but Winnipeg actually had a good chance to beat the Flyers on Saturday night, but the Flyers had the opportunities when they needed to. They played a very good game the last time these two clubs met against each other up at, I don't know what their arena is called now. It used to be called MTS Center in Winnipeg. It's probably like I forget what kind of arena it is, but I remember the arena used to be home to their minor league affiliate, the Manitoba Moose, and then Winnipeg decide to play there for the next handful of years, going back to the last 15 years or so, going back to when Winnipeg became into something. And it's hard to believe they've been around for 15 years now. I never thought I would say that Winnipeg would be around for this long, but they have a good fan base over there. They have a good team over there. So for my key matchups in this game, it's basically what's going to happen tomorrow afternoon for the trade deadline, as I brought up in the topic sheet, is that tomorrow is the day that we see either Scott Laughton or defenseman Rasmus Ristolainen go into the trade market. For me, that's going to be the biggest key in this matchup here tonight, is that are you going to see the last time you're going to see Scott Laughton and Rusto in Flyers orange and black? For me, I would like to see Ristolainen still stay here. He's a good piece to have on that defensive pairing. Obviously, you got good defensemen on this team like Cam York and also Travis Sanheim, and the list goes on and on about it. But like, he's one of those guys he's not a mucking and grinder kind of guy, but he's a guy that will help you forecheck the puck when it's needed to. I remember he was a good player with the Sabres, and I said back, I think it was probably when the Flyers were looking for another defenseman back in the 2021 offseason, I said to myself, the Flyers have to go after this guy named Rasmus Ristolainen, and it will be a shame that he'll go in this game. So it was a shame to actually let him go to another team and be successful, let alone like a team like Winnipeg is concerned. But there's one thing I want to say about Ristolainen that I really thought I never thought I would say, but he kind of reminds me of like how we used to have back in the day, like a Kimmo Timonen, maybe a Chris Pronger, has a little bit of that both. I mean, he's very good on the power play. He's a very good penalty killer. I don't want to say I don't want to wish him go, because I think the team is already good with him. I think, but if I actually see Scott Laughton go to probably down in the trade deadline. I could see Scott Laughton go tomorrow. I'm not saying I have a problem with Laughton. He was good when it was needed to. He did a good job with this team. He made his but the problem is with Scott Laughton, it's no disrespect to him. I think he's a very, very good player, but he's inconsistent. I think sometimes he's good. I mean, at times he's good. I mean, you think about the year he had towards the beginning of the season, and then he actually had 4 goals against I think it was the Detroit Red Wings in that game in December. So that was the last time we probably heard Scott Laughton's name in like big games like that, and especially for Rusto. And I know these are pieces that you're trying to build for the future, and obviously you're trying to build to see what you have for the future. So if you trade players to see what you are willing to have in this league, obviously. But I got to say right now, I mean, if you do trade Rusto and Scott Laughton tomorrow, I could probably see Scott Laughton go, like I said. But if you trade away if you trade away Rasmus Ristolainen to a team that is really good, I mean, what are you going to get back in return? I mean, I know for sure if it's like San Jose right now, they're basically like just like they're admitting that they're selling the team, they're sellers at the trade deadline, and the same thing with the Penguins is concerned. They're also sellers as well, actually getting rid of some players in the process. As last night is concerned, they got rid of Michael Bunting, and now he's a member of that what do you call it? I think he's with the Nashville Predators now, and they got back Tommy Novak and a player to be named later. I'm not sure who's the other player that they got. I think it was a 2-team trade. The Lightning doing whatever they can to, like I said, play with a lot of. I guess Tampa Bay got better. Obviously, they brought back Yanni Gourde from the Kraken, and also bringing in Oliver Bjorkstrand from the Seattle Kraken. So it looks like the Lightning are going to be a team that's going to be really dominant again come postseason time. So for me, I guess the one thing you have to do in this game here tonight is that to see what you look like in the trade deadline. That's going to be my key matchups in this game. Is that who are you going to see go in the trade deadline tomorrow? And it'll be interesting to see what Danny Briere and Jonesy do come tomorrow afternoon for the trade deadline. All right, but speaking of who's trending up and who's trending down on this night, let's go to, well, I wouldn't say there's a lot to be saying about, not a lot to say about who's trending up in a positive direction. You could think about what the Winnipeg Jets is concerned. I know this is a Flyers pod, but Winnipeg might be one of those teams that actually is trending up in a positive direction. And I can tell you right now, they have done an admirable job of what they're trying to do up there in Winnipeg. I mean, you think about what Kevin Sheladayoff has done with that team. And if you don't know who Kevin Sheladayoff is, I think there's a couple of Chicago fans will know. I know that name because he was a member of the AHL affiliate Chicago Wolves and also became a real good GM for the Wolves for a very, very long time and also won a couple Calder Cups along the way. And he looks like he's doing the same thing now in Winnipeg. So it was my guy. I was thinking about the guy. If the Winnipeg Jets decide to let him go, I was thinking to myself, this will be one guy that you can build your minor league system with. And everybody would tell me, well, it's the minor leagues. He didn't do very well. And I mean, you think about it now. That's when you know he's doing well in both. He was doing well in the minor leagues a long time ago, and now he's doing very well in the NHL sake. And I think he's done a very, very good job. So as a Chicago Wolves fan, I actually respect Kevin Sheladayoff on a great job he has done with this team. So I guess that's who's trending up here tonight for the Jets is concerned. Not a lot to be trending up for the Flyers, but that's probably the price it is, especially when you're having a rebuilding team and you don't have a lot of things to be trending up or trending down. But I guess who's trending up and also who needs to start trending up is the one we talked about earlier in the post-game show on Tuesday night. I said that Travis Konechny needs to step it up here, so he needs to start trending up in a positive direction after basically been silent ever since that Four Nations face-off. Obviously, you know, the situation that happened with him, and he was not a big factor in that game. So he was not a big factor at all in that Four Nations, so I can understand. I thought he will have a chip on his shoulder and say, okay, now you think that I don't belong on the Four Nations. I'll prove you wrong, but it's kind of weird that he's going through this slump right now. Maybe that's probably why Matvei Michkov and other players in particular have been stepping up in his absence along the way as well. All right, let's get into our injury report for this game here tonight for the Flyers and the Jets. Same as usual, as we always talked about here. It will be Alexei Kolosov. I would expect he's the reason why he is injured in this game. Well, he's not injured. He's basically an emergency goaltender, depending on what Urson or Fedotov do tonight. Eric Johnson, I think he will be playing in this game tonight. I did see Nick Delorier back in the lineup a couple nights ago in that game against Winnipeg. I actually had a scrap in a game against the Jets on 5 days ago back in Manitoba, but it will be good to know to see what he has in store here tonight. And also, so I would expect more. I think the Flyers are going to have the only injury, the healthy scratch in this game tonight. It will depend on who, if it's like Eric Johnson or maybe Nick Delorier, depending on who's in this game here tonight. So like I said, the only probably injury, like I say in quotations here, is probably Alexei Kolosov, and that's just because he's just the emergency goaltender, depending on if Urson or Fedotov get hurt and he has to come in relief. Like, it's kind of like he's the third stringer in football terms. He's a third stringer in for the Flyers, as far as I'm concerned, until something like that happens. And we'll figure out what the situation is with that. But it will be interesting to see what they do with Kolosov and Fedotov at the end of the offseason. But like I said, it will be very interesting. So it'll be just Kolosov and whoever is either Eric Johnson or Nick Delorier in this game here tonight. So I'm expecting both of them will be back in this game here tonight because they didn't come up on the injury report. According to, I don't think John Tortorella talked about it, but I think they will be both back for this game here tonight against Winnipeg. All right, let's get into our starting goaltender matchup for this game before we wrap it up here tonight. All right, so in goal for the Flyers, once again, it will be, Sam Urson back in goal once again for the Orange and Black. I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with Urson. Just had a bad game a couple nights ago. Hopefully he'll bounce back tonight. But it's kind of interesting, though, because you think about what Ivan Fedotov did, because I brought it up a couple nights ago, and I said to myself, Fedotov played very well against Winnipeg on Saturday night. I was thinking maybe he'll get the helm again here tonight. We'll be in goal here tonight for this game, but Nope, it is Sam Ersson once again. Like I mentioned, his record's still the same because obviously he gave up 3 goals on 3 shots on Tuesday night against the Flames, and he's back at it again tonight. So his record's still the same at 18, 10, and 4. And his goals against average added more to his resume, obviously. So he has a goals against average now of 2.91. And for Winnipeg, it will be Eric Comrie. So he'll be in goal tonight for Winnipeg. No Connor Hellebuck in goal here tonight for the Jets. So they're going with their backup. And he has a record of 6.8 and 1 this season. And has goals against average of 2.56. So Ersson in goal for the Flyers and Comrie in goal for the Jets. And I guess for my final predictions in this game, this is probably something that would probably sound a little bit interesting here, but maybe this will be the game that Winnipeg will have a chip on their shoulder because they lost a couple games after that Flyers game a couple nights ago. They went up to Long Island on Tuesday night against the Jets. I mean, they went to Long Island to take on the Islanders, lost that 3-2. So, I mean, Winnipeg is one team that is really desperately looking to try to find out what their footing is in the next couple months or so, because they can probably win that President's Trophy of being the best team in the league. So don't be surprised tonight. Winnipeg will have a chip on their shoulder to see what they have in store. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm pro Winnipeg here. I'm just saying that they're a very, very good team. And hopefully the Flyers will be there eventually when the time calls for it. When it calls for them to be really good again, hopefully they'll be like Winnipeg in the next couple years or so. But maybe this will be the year Winnipeg finally goes to a Stanley Cup final. But sometimes the President's Trophy doesn't win. It's not about who's the best team. It's about who's the hottest team. And it's about every sport. I mean, you think about what's been going on with all the hottest teams in sports. I mean, it's always like the best team never wins a trophy. But if the hottest team who wins it, it's basically the hottest team. It's kind of like a March Madness tournament. You don't know who's going to be the 16 or the 1 seed. But sometimes, like you'll find, I mean, sometimes a blind squirrel finds an acorn, and kind of like the same kind of scenario with the NHL as well. All right, that is going to wrap up our portion of the Hockey Night on Board Forest pregame show here tonight. A little bit longer than expected. So remember to stay tuned after the game for the Third Line John Flyers postgame show with myself, yours truly, and Joey Marks got you covered immediately tonight after the game goes final. I will be back again for an early matchup on matinee on Saturday when the Flyers take on the Seattle Kraken. That will be at a 12:30 puck drop and a 12 o'clock pregame here right here on Hardcore Sports Network. So, like I said, a matinee game as the Flyers take on the Seattle Kraken for the second time this season, and I'll get you ready for that game right at 12 o'clock and 12:30 puck drop right here at Wells Fargo Center in South Philadelphia. All right, that's going to do it for here tonight. So thanks for everybody who chimed in, and also thanks for everybody who tuned into our show. This has been the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. And I'm your host, James Scorza, saying thanks for watching, everybody. And until then, we will see you next time.